Welcome everyone to Defender for Cloud in the Field. If you are new to this channel, Microsoft Security channel, make sure to go to the AK link below to subscribe to our playlist and hit the bell to receive notifications that new episodes are on. This is another follow-up episode post-Ignite with some more details about the announcements that we had. And again, today we are going to continue to expand in the feature set of Defender for Containers. There's a lot of things that we release at Ignite and that needs follow-up to go deeper. And today, I'm really glad. It's actually her first time in the show, so I would like to welcome Beatriss Kovernaig. Beatriss, thanks for being on.
Thank you, Yuri. It's a pleasure.
Awesome. Beatriss, since it's your first time here, just give us a quick overview about what you do at Microsoft, in particular in this team that you are working on.
Sure. Well, I am a principal product manager in Microsoft Defender for Containers, especially specializing in the container software supply chain area. And this feature that we are going to discuss today is directly related to uncovering the container software supply chain.
Awesome. Well, this is definitely an area that we've been investing a lot. My presentation at Ignite actually touched in some of these points, but I'm glad that you are going to go deeper because today's episode is about our expansion of security coverage around multi-cloud and external container registries, which includes Docker Hub and JFrog Artifact. So I think that the first question that I have for you is, it was really for you to explain to our audience why it's important to scan external container registries such as Docker and JFrog Artifactory for security vulnerabilities.
Absolutely. Well, scanning external container registries such as Docker Hub and JFrog Artifactory is critical because those registries serve as the source of container images that then being deployed into various organizational cloud environments, including production environments. And if those container images has vulnerabilities, those vulnerabilities will be carried to the runtime when they can be exploited by attackers, leading to potential breaches and other security incidents. Container images must be continuously assessed for vulnerabilities and then patched and remediated to identify and mitigate risk before those vulnerabilities would be exploited by the malicious actor. One of the key goals for Defender for Cloud is to ensure that our customers' container security is covered across the software supply chain. And many of our customers are using a mixture of cloud container registries that we're already supporting, like ACR, GCR, ECR, etc., and the external container registries, such as Docker Hub and JFrog Artifactory, and actually extending our container vulnerability assessment scanning to cover them, eliminate blind spot across the supply chain.
Perfect. And you mentioned that one of the goals of Defender for Cloud is to ensure that. But how are we helping in this process, Defender for Cloud in this case?
Microsoft Defender for Cloud provides comprehensive security capabilities for container registries. It performs regular container image discovery to list all the images that placed in the container registry and assess them for vulnerabilities. And this include identifying the vulnerabilities, prioritizing the risk, providing detailed reports, and offer remediation recommendations. By integrating with those registries, Microsoft Defender for Cloud ensure that all container images are continuously monitored and secured through their lifecycle.
Perfect. When it comes to feature set, what are some of the features that we have in Defender for Cloud for securing container registers?
Well, first we have the inventory discovery, the identification, and listing of all the up-to-date container images that resides in the container registry. Then we have the process of the continuous vulnerability assessment, regular scans that scan the container images for known vulnerabilities, providing detailed report and remediation recommendations. and the continuous monitoring, which ensures that all container images are continuously monitored for new vulnerabilities as they accrue.
Awesome. A lot of customers that are probably watching this episode, they already are used to onboard container register for other platforms that we supported in the past. How is that different nowadays to onboard Docker Hub and JFrog Artifactory?
Now, this is a great question. Well, the cloud-native container registries that Developer Cloud is supporting until now are being onboarded as part of the cloud tenant or subscription onboarding. Whenever you're onboarding the whole tenant, all the related ACR or ECR services are being onboarded as well automatically. With the external container registries, they're outside of the cloud native environment, meaning they need to be onboarded one by one.
Okay. And are we supporting all flavors of Docker Hub and JFrog Artifactory?
Well, it's a complex question. It's yes for Docker Hub because Docker Hub is SaaS only, and no for JFrog Artifactory. Actually, at this phase, we are supporting the SaaS flavor, JFrog Artifactory Cloud, and the self-hosted flavor is not supported yet, but we are planning to add it soon.
And can you just describe in a few words the onboarding process, how it works, and if it is all the same for all the registry types?
Wow. Okay. So, well, each external registry vendor has its own API and configurations, meaning that for each type of external registry, there are separate onboarding process. Those environments, they have a lot in common. Obviously, they have same functionalities and features and plans, but the interaction with the registry itself, and we'll see it in the demo, is vendor specific for onboarding, connectivity, discovery, etc. The two examples that we are announcing now, which is the Docker Hub and JFrog Artifactory, they have 80% of functionality is similar, but the interaction itself, the onboarding process, as we'll see it, differentiate between the vendors. And for example, one of the strong differentiators is while JFrog has a CLI that automates a lot of the setup, Docker Hub requires manual setup steps.
Now, I think that this is probably one of the most important questions because a lot of customers, they get a little bit confused about the feature set and the plan. So can you give an overview about the supportability for external container registry across our Defender for Cloud plans?
Of course. So external container registries, well, the two we are discussing now and probably the one that's going to follow, are supporting three plans. We have foundational CSPM, which is a basic plan available free of charge for all customers. So you can onboard your JFrog Artifactory or your Docker Hub account. You're not going to get any vulnerability assessment capabilities for that, but in the inventory view, we'll have an up-to-date list of all the container images that resides in that container registry. The containers plan offer, on top of inventory, also vulnerability assessment capabilities, recommendations, remediation steps, very similar to how it works with the cloud-native container registries. And the third plan is the Defender CSPM that offers, inventory vulnerability assessment, and on top of it, all the rich set of capabilities the Defender CSPM owns, the container registry, and the relevant container images it stores would be participating in all the Defender CSPM features, attack paths analysis, code to cloud mapping, etc.
Awesome. And since you talk about posture management with Defender CSPM, how this regular scanning of container registries benefits the overall secure posture for organizations?
Well, container registries are obviously essential assets for organization. So regular scanning of container registries significantly enhance an organizational security posture by ensuring that all container images are free from known vulnerabilities. And this proactive approach helps prevent potential security breaches and reduce the risk of deploying compromised images into production environment. It also aligned with best practices for container security, ensuring companies compliance with industry standards and regulations.
Makes sense. Makes sense. It's a very important part of the overall secure posture, and I'm glad that we are bringing all those insights as part of the CSPM. Are there any additional challenges that organization may face when implementing these security measures?
Well, one of the main challenges is ensuring that all relevant container images and container registries are onboarded and scanned regularly, since those are environment detached from the cloud environment's accounts. So we need to make sure that organizations are balance security with efficiency, ensuring that security measures do not slow down the development process, but all the relevant container registries are being onboarded as part of the MDC portal.
Perfect. I know that we have a demo. I just have one more question to wrap up before we go to the demo. What is your advice and what advice can you give actually to organizations looking to improve their container security?
Well, my advice would be to prioritize regular vulnerability assessments and integrate security tools like Defender for Cloud into their development and deployment workflows. Ensure that all container images, whether from Docker Hub, JFrog Artifactory, or ACR, are continuously monitored and scanned for vulnerabilities, and also foster a culture of security awareness among your development teams. It's super, super, super important. And emphasizing the importance of secure code practices and regular security reviews across your organization.
Perfect. Well, so let's move on to the demo and see how that looks like.
Yay. Okay, so as you can see here, we are in the environment settings, scans on board a new Docker Hub for JFrog Artifactory, and actually we have already several accounts that already onboarded. This is our Docker Hub container registry example. And if we were talking about the differences between the different vendors. So for example, with the Docker Hub, we can see that in terms of connection, in terms of connector, it's a new connector. If we switch to the plans, here is the foundational CSPM that supports only inventory and discovery of the container images inside the registry. Then we have the inventory and all the CSPM features covered as well, and containers providing us with vulnerability assessment and recommendations for remediation. In terms of configuring the access, it's quite simple. The only parameters required is the organization name. This is our organization, so basically you need to have an organization name. You do need to have a dedicated user. Here we created an MDC user who is an owner with read-only permissions. So no read-write permissions required. It's the permissions, but it needs to be an owner in your organization. And then we are generating access token, and voila, with read access, we have our container registry onboarded. With JFrog, it's a little bit different. So you can see that there's a lot of similarities. The additional field here is the server ID. Every JFrog account has a unique domain name, and this is the domain name which required for the onboarding. Same plans, no differences here. And the configure access is completely different. We are actually working here with the JFrog CLI. For sake of time, we're going to see the installation itself, but you have all the relevant materials and prerequisites here. We have two types of scripts, that's suitable for Linux and Windows. All the setup is actually done. Yeah. All the setup is done via the interaction with JFrog CLI. Super simple. And voila, we have a JFrog connector as well. In the inventory, we can see that we have new environments. Sorry, my bad. Apply. And we can see all the images that are coming from Docker Hub or JFrog container registries. There's quite an amount already. And by drill down into one of those images, we can see the associated recommendations. This is how the recommendation of JFrog is look like. Well, Docker Hub is quite similar. We have all the information regarding the container registry, the image itself, the URI, where it came from, the remediation steps, and the findings that need to be fixed. And then, from the recommendations, sorry, let's go. JFrog. And see all the recommendations that we have on those environments. And from the Cloud Security Explorer, you can fetch those recommendations as well by looking for container images. See, JFrog. Oh, here I have it down. Let's see. Yay. And this is it.
Thank you very much for the demo, Beatriss. Great experience. Congratulations on this big milestone. I can tell you for a fact that at Ignite, when I was presenting some of these features, the audience really enjoy. So congratulations.
Thank you. More to come.
Awesome. That's great news. More to come. All right, everyone. This is a wrap for today's episode. Thank you very much for your time. Thanks for watching. Again, make sure to subscribe to our playlist, the AKA link below. And there is way more episodes coming up with follow-ups from the Ignite. So stay tuned. See you next time.